Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's a weekend that's gone by. The final warm-up games have finished. Springboks delivered a resounding win against the All Blacks. So much so that there's been a lot of comments. Jeez, I can't count the amount of comments that I've got from South African and New Zealand fans. Of course, a lot of angst amongst New Zealand fans because of that result, and it's understandable. I think if the Boks lost like that, we'd be the same. And yes, I'm going to be doing a separate video on that, on exactly where it leaves New Zealand as well. But yeah, for now, let's have a look at where exactly it leaves the Boks and 7 takeaways from that game for them. And takeaway number 1. Okay, the Boks have a plan. I know it's going to sound oversimplified, but I think there's been a lot of question marks about Jacques Nienaber and Rassie Erasmus's handling of the Boxer Cup over the last couple of years, and a lot of disappointment here and there at selections and things like that. But all the while, they've been saying the same thing. They've got a plan. They've got a plan. Some of their selections haven't always gone down well with the public, but you can see what they've been working to. And over the last couple of years, they've created an astounding amount of depth. And the fact that they could, on Friday night, bring a team like that, experiment in the backline against the All Blacks, and really come through like that, I think shows that their plan is working. So going into the World Cup, they're in a very good space. Their game plan has evolved from a game plan that was very much a kicking-based plan with forwards, a set-piece-based plan. It's still got all those elements, but they've added a couple of bows in their thing, and they're really looking like an all-rounded side going into the World Cup. They've got a tough draw. There's still a lot that can happen. I'm not going to count our chickens just yet. But their plan has been working. And I think Bok fans can be very confident going into this World Cup that their team preparation has been as good as it could be. There were some doubts after obviously the game in Auckland. They've rectified those. They've done well in rectifying those. And they resounded the onset critics this past weekend. And I think going to the World Cup, they're placed very handily at the moment. And there'll be a lot of teams who'll be not wanting to face the Springboks, especially if they're in the form they were in at Twickenham. There's no dirt trackers anymore. I think they're getting to a point now, maybe not exactly at that point just yet, but they're getting to a point right now where the differences between what we would have said at the beginning of the season was their starting lineup and those players sort of rising from sort of the second stringers is getting less and less. I think if you look at almost every single position, there are players who are just as good, or if not just as good, not much worse than the players in the seat at the moment if you pick a strong starting lineup. That's a great luxury for any coach to have, and it's really a great position to be in. If you look at it, and let's just go through it quickly. I mean, you look at the front row, you can interchange any of those props and hookers there in the front row, and you wouldn't lose anything. In fact, it probably boosts the Boks to be able to change almost a full pack like they did at Twickenham. Something the 7-1 bench, I think, made the rest of the world sit up and notice. There's some really astounding talent in the Bok forwards. Even at lock, even though you might not say Jean Klein's at the same place where Eben Etzebeth is, he's not exactly much worse. There's not like a gulf between the first choice and the second choice. The number 5 lock is still open, Franco Mostert, Marvin Ori, and even Erke Snyman. There's not much to choose between them, no matter who you pick there. I think it just depends on the horses for courses at the end of the day. Even the loose forwards, I mean, Sia's obviously there, Sia Pieter-Steph and Dwayne seem to be the starting guys, but even though Jasper hasn't had the best of tests, seasons, he's certainly got the talent to get back into it. You look at the other guys that are in the squad, the Marco van Stadens of this world, really not too much that the Boks lose if they go for any of those. Dion Fourie, those type of guys. There's not too much for them to lose anywhere there. And the guys who could easily walk into most sides worldwide. Halfbacks, any of the 4, they've all got their own strengths. Any of the 4 can come in. Fly-off is maybe a bit thin. I think obviously Manie Lebok and Damian Willems are there, although Manie's settling in very, very nicely into the position. Wings, any of the wings can come in. They're world-class, all of them. Damon Delenda, Andre Esterhuizen. There's a good debate about who should be chosen there. 13, Jesse Krill, and now Kanan Moody as their backup. And fullback, Damian Willemse and Willie Leroux. So they've really crossed the park, got 2 choices in every position. Number 3 is Flav, Manie Libbok. There's been a lot of fears, but I think Friday night, Manie Libbok's play and his play away from his goal kicking has settling in very nicely. He's giving the box options. He's making it difficult for defenses, and he's tough to plan against if you're an opposition coach. So I think he's done exceptionally well there, Manie Libbok. Of course, his goal kicking is still a concern, although it wasn't really a factor this weekend, probably because the box was so dominant. But yeah, there is seriously a good argument that Manie's the guy settling into the position. You've got to back him. All this talk about Pollard, until there's an injury, you should leave it. And yeah, give Manie the backing that he needs. But yeah, I think that's definitely yeah, Manie's the man. Show me the Manie, as the stadium announcers like to play as well. And you know, those ABBA songs, money, money, money. I think yeah, at the end of the day, he's what we have, and he's shown himself to be an exceptional fly-off, exceptional attacking fly-off. And maybe it's because we're not used to a Bok fly-off being that way as well. You know, having the flair and having the sort of touches that he has. So I think we should back Manie, and he's really coming into his own. And you know, I'm backing him for a good turn. Number 4, the South African pack at the moment, on the evidence of Friday night. I can say that because I know there's going to be a lot of naysayers that say, yeah, but if a team stands up to them, the pack has no equal. In the mood they were in on Friday night, when the Boks get it right, that front row in the set pieces, the locks, there certainly is no equal to them as well. But look, I mean, teams do match up physically, and when they do, they give themselves a good chance. But that still stays the cornerstone of the Springbok effort. It still stays the cornerstone of their attack. A good set piece, a scrum that can demolish the opposition, you know, a line out that can steal balls, and really, you know, in the loose they're pretty decent. And Sia's really starting to come back into his own, find his form again after his injury. So that pack to me has literally no equal in world rugby when they're in that mood. And I caveat to that, when they're in that mood, because yeah, it's the challenge is to bring it every single test match. But if they go into every single test in the World Cup like that, it's going to be hard to stop them. Number 5. Well, number 5 is a bit of a concern still. I mean, I think we saw it in tests earlier this year. We saw it you know, in the opening 20 minutes against the All Blacks. Despite all the dominance, the finishing was still a concern. Jacques Nienaber did allude to it. He did say it was an issue, and I'm going to put the video right here now. This was what he said after the game on Friday night.
Jack, it's been quite topsy-turvy in terms of the results of the Rugby Championship leading up to this. Pretty much the question I asked Bozzy was, how do you, what do you learn from today? And how do you differentiate when you're playing against those top 2 or 3 sides in the world? There's so little to choose between them. And it's almost form on the night that really defines who wins and loses now. It's so close.
Yeah, I think that is exactly that. I mean, how long was it? Probably 6-7 weeks ago, we played against New Zealand in New Zealand, you know, and we were sitting where they are currently sitting now, you know. So and that's how quickly things can change. So yeah, for us, it's good performance in terms of again, certain things we wanted to get right, and then there's a lot of things that we didn't get right. I thought we had a lot of opportunities in the first 20 minutes. I think in the whole game, I think there was about 8 opportunities where we got held up twice. And I think going into the World Cup, I said it last week as well, going into World Cup, you only because there's so much pressure in a World Cup, you get 4 or 5 opportunities and you have to capitalize on them, or the majority of them. So that's something that we will definitely work on and try and fix in the next 2 weeks before we play Scotland. But yeah, I think tonight it's the same for us when we had that loss against New Zealand. I mean, yeah, you just have to keep in the reality, you know. And the reality is tonight we're happy, but we're also sad. I mean, there's 5 players who's been with us and who has given everything, who's not in the squad, you know, who's going back to their club. So they would give everything to be in the 33. So the guys who's in the 33, they must cherish that and know that there's guys that is as good that can take their place.
And with that in mind, you know, it is still a concern, when especially going into World Cup where inches are going to decide the difference, where the teams are so close together that it's going to be a massive thing to get every point you can. So between the goal kicking and the finishing, I think those are the 2 points that the Boks in Corsica this week in their training camp will be working hard on. If they could have got those opening 3-4 attacks over the line, that would have been a huge score against the All Blacks. That's not always going to happen against a team like the All Blacks, but when it becomes an arm wrestle, a grind, you want those moments, to be the ones. As Jacques says, you only get 3 or 4 moments in a test match, and in tight games, and you have to take those when you can. So finishing is a concern, and it is something they're working on hard, and they'll definitely be addressing in their Corsica camp this week. Number 6, no flying under the radar anymore. I think that we know for certain now. The Boks certainly have made the rest of the world sit up and notice. The All Blacks, their biggest defeat in history. There's no team they're going to be facing in this World Cup potentially that hasn't picked that up and hasn't already sit up and notice and already are making plans to try and stop the Springboks in terms of that. There's no flying under the radar. They're going to go in as defending champions in the form of their lives, who are just narrowly number 2 in the world at the moment, and they should wear that mantle well. They should enjoy it, embrace it, and that's something we don't see Springbok teams do all the time. Often we see Springbok teams go into games and really are sort of better when their backs against the wall. They don't like being favourites, but I think this Bok team is growing. It's enjoying. It has to embrace this moment. It has to go in with the challenge. It's going to be the toughest World Cup ever for them, and they're going to embrace the moment as defending champions and know that it's their title. The teams must come try and take it away from them. So I'm backing the Boks to do pretty well there. But everybody would have sat up and taken notice on Friday night, especially after that performance at Twickenham. Finally, I think one of the things that you see as well, good teams make their own luck. Luck is needed in the World Cup. I don't think we should forget that. And the Boks have been making their own luck. If you look at the way their reads, Kane and Moody, Kurt the Orange, some of those reads that they had on Friday night, they make their own luck. And you need luck in the World Cup. There are going to be things that are going to go against you. There are going to be reffing decisions going against you. There are going to be situations where you're going to find yourself under pressure, and luck is also needed at times. And there's times that the Boks were lucky on Friday night. There's 1 or 2 bounces of the ball. There was a try that was disallowed. Could have been a very different game if some of those decisions went the other way, and often do in the favour of the All Blacks. So in terms of that, I think luck is really needed, and that's one thing we must remember going into the World Cup. The Boks need that bit of luck, and you hope that luck goes your way. Otherwise, you've got to make your own luck, and they've been very good at doing that as well. Okay, guys, that's 7 takeaways from that. It's been a great weekend for any Springbok fan, for anybody backing the Boks in this World Cup. It's going to be a very tough World Cup going ahead anyway. But let me know what you think. If there's anything I missed, put it in the comments below, and if I'll respond wherever I can. And give me a shout and let me know what you think. And if you haven't subscribed, smash that subscribe button now so that you can get all the updates as these videos go along. There'll be loads of them in the World Cup as well. We'll be focusing a lot on how the teams are doing, especially the Springboks as well. But thanks for watching. Chat to you soon. Cheers.